Well, it's all kicked off in the fucking Middle East, apparently. Jesus. Netanyahu apparently gave a very enlightening interview into the machinations of his evil little poo head mind. Not scary, not scary at all. Let's hear what the unhinged man himself, little, possibly very, I would assume, a very small pee-peed man, Bibi Netanyahu. He's got some type of syndrome. Is he short? Is it a Napoleon syndrome? Is it a small cock thing? We don't know. We can assume probably a little from column A, a little from column B. Unhinged, disgusting behavior.
Welcome to Washington for a special edition of Special Report. I'm Brett Baer. Coming up in a few minutes, my world-exclusive live interview with his...
What an American name. My name is Brett Baer. Wow. Okay, sorry. Let's be serious. I don't know. It's just people in America, like, they give, like, the people, like, dogs' names, like Tucker or something. It's very weird. Or they'll just give, like, a kid, like, a surname as a first name. Like, this is Mackenzie. This is McConnelly. People are wild over there.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the first since the Israeli strikes on Iran began.
He's so
But
punchable.
First, this afternoon, a Fox News alert, the growing conflict in the Middle East, Israel launching a third day of airstrikes across Iran, Israeli officials advising Iranians to evacuate arms factories and threatening to use even greater force. Iran saying 128 people have been killed, 900 wounded so far. The Islamic Republic responding with missile attacks of its own, which have killed 13 people, wounding more than 360.
Digging through the debris following that Iranian ballistic missile attack that targeted central Israel. They are looking for survivors who are trapped under the rubble.
Yeah, but the difference is these people will have hospitals that haven't been bombed to go to. If they are recovered, they'll be able to have meals. They'll be able to have, you know, their wounds clean, basic sanitation, anesthetic if they need operations, all this stuff. Like, I just find it interesting how this attack on Israel is framed versus how it's just all of matter-of-factly reported when it's Gaza that's being totaled. It's just, you know, here's a factual account of what happened, but here, you know, they're really trying to pull on the heartstrings. Obviously, all civilian deaths are incredibly sad. Oof, it's tough out there. It's really insane to me just how you can go out and just dehumanize a group. And then we have to be really careful that we don't dehumanize Israelis as well. That's the slippery slope. But obviously, like, the way this conflict is, I think, especially represented in America, is incredibly skewed. And even in Australian media, you're very hard-pressed to hear someone use the G word. I've heard some people refer to what's happening in Gaza as an ethnic cleansing, but even then, people are really trying to minimalize what's happened. And then, obviously, like, this place is flattened, not saying nothing is happening in Israel at the moment, obviously. You know, we can see the debris. But compared to what's been happening in Gaza for the last, 18 months or something, it's not really comparable.
Iranian media reports 128 people have been killed and 900 injured. We know among that list are Iranian nuclear scientists and top IRGC commanders targeted by Israel. The Israelis are going after military and nuclear sites. The Iranians are firing ballistic missiles toward Israeli civilians.
See how this is all framed? I know Fox News is owned by old mate Murdoch. Thank God he's not Australian anymore. Yes, he had to renounce his Australian citizenship so that he could buy all the media up in all the other stupid places where he's gone to live. I don't know, be American, mate. It obviously suits your personality a lot more, you freaking warhawk. These dickheads obviously have an agenda. You know, Israel would never attack innocent civilian guys. They would never. It just so happens that Hamas were hiding in all the primary schools and in all the kindergartens and in all the hospitals. But me and Iran, they're just targeting innocent civilians. Meanwhile, like, Iron Dome, you literally see, like, missiles coming out of, like, children's playgrounds. They open up. And it's like a freaking X-Men movie where, what's it called? The Blackbird comes out of the school in X-Men. Like, the basketball court or whatever opens and the Blackbird, like, flies out. It's like a movie. Israel really are just cartoon villains. It's actually just fucking nuts at this stage.
Why did you launch this operation now?
Because we were facing an imminent threat, a dual existential threat. One, the threat of Iran rushing.
All we did was bomb them first. But they're trying to develop nuclear capabilities. Oh, Israel, do you have nuclear capabilities? So by their own logic, Iran can just fire down as many missiles as they want because you have nukes. You have nukes, BB. Isn't that how it works?
Second, a rush to increase their ballistic missile arsenal into the capacity that they would have 3,600 weapons a year, new weapons within 3 years, 10,000 ballistic missiles. So we had to act. It was the 12th hour. We did act to save ourselves, but also I think to not only protect ourselves, but protect the world from this incendiary regime.
You're not protecting us. If anything, you're making us more of a target. All of the terrorism and stuff that has kicked off in the West, directly tied to Israel dragging America and by proxy the coalition of the fuckwits into every fucking conflict in the Middle East. And this is all him just sitting back like a cartoon villain doing the Mr. Burns hands. Excellent.
We can't have the world's most dangerous regime have the world's most dangerous weapons. We're protecting ourselves, but by doing so, we're protecting many others.
You know, I
No,
just
you're
wanna
not.
press you on the.
I'm so noble, guys. I'm so noble. If there's one person I think about, I don't think about like Fred Hollows or someone like that when I think about noble people. I think about Bibi Netanyahu. I think about this ghoulish, just been dug up corpse like Palla, the just punchable face. I'm like, what a noble man you are, sir.
Intel on the nuclear part. Less than 2 months ago, the new director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, testified on Capitol Hill, saying that everything had been suspended since 2003 and had not restarted. That the nuclear program had not been restarted by the Iranians. So did something change from end of March until
No,
this
he's a
week?
liar.
The intel we got and we shared with the United States was absolutely clear. It was absolutely clear that they were working in a secret plan to weaponize the uranium. That was the intel we shared with the United States. I think we have excellent intel in Iran. I think we've proven that. And that is something that we couldn't possibly accept. Whether it would be 6 months or 12 months or 13 months is immaterial. Once they go that route, it's too late. And we will not have a second Holocaust, a nuclear Holocaust. We already had one in the previous century. The Jewish state is not going to have the Holocaust meted on the Jewish people. It's not going to happen. Never again is now, and we had to act now.
What is the goal of
Never again is now. Yeah, you're committing a genocide. Never again, when they say never again, they're referring to the logo you see at all the Holocaust museums around the world where it says never again. If like you were teaching a literature class and your student wrote Bibi Netanyahu, you would say, this is a bit on the nose. Like, this is too much of a caricature of an evil person. The physical description and just the way he behaves, it's like, no, we have to make it a little bit more nuanced. That's not believable. Even the most evil person in history was at least, you know, maybe charismatic or at least likable, you know, superficially on some level. I'm sorry, I can't pass you. You've got to work on this a bit more.
some of these strikes have targeted Iranian leadership, military, nuclear scientists, and other leaders. So is regime change part of the effort here?
Could certainly be the result because the Iran regime is very weak. I think it's basically left with two things. It's plans to have atomic bombs and ballistic missiles. That's basically what Iran has. They certainly don't have the people. 80% of the people will throw these theological thugs out. They attack their chief nuclear scientists working. It's like Hitler's nuclear scientists.
Do I think he's trying to prolong his term for war crime charge reasons? Yeah. Look, if there's any justice in this world, this guy's before the Hague, you know, soon. What's that act that America has where if anyone tries to ever take America to the ICC for war crimes? Is it called the Hague Act refers to American Service Members Protection Act. The US law passed in 2002 was nicknamed the Hague Invasion Act. It aimed to protect US military personnel and officials from prosecution by the International Criminal Court, the ICC, in The Hague, Netherlands. ASPA authorizes the use of all means necessary and appropriate to free US or allied personnel. I reckon that if they do try and take BB to The Hague, I reckon they're going to pull out this Hague Act bullshit. Allied personnel is very interesting verbiage to me. So think about this whenever international law is brought up and war crimes and this, that, and the other. Because the really interesting thing was when I was learning about international law was, I think the first sentence in like the textbook was, international law is only binding to those who choose to be bound by it. And I was like, well, that's fucking pointless then, isn't it? Additionally, it includes provisions for restricting US cooperation with the International Criminal Court and imposing sanctions on countries that ratify the ICC treaty. Do I need to add more? That's so fucked up, guys.
I can inform you, Brett, that moments ago, we also got the chief intelligence officer and his deputy in Tehran, because we're now over the skies of Tehran. Our pilots, our brave pilots, are over the skies of Tehran, and we're targeting military sites, nuclear sites. That's what we're doing to take out those two threats. Unlike the Iranians, who your reporter said correctly, they're targeting our civilians.
Yeah.
They're bombing our civilians. So that's the difference. They're a terrorist regime. We can't have Iran have nuclear weapons. And by the way, our intel shows that they intend to give these nuclear weapons to their Houthi proxies and others. And that's nuclear terrorism on a global scale. It threatens everyone. These people who chant death to America, try to assassinate President Trump twice, killed 241 of your Marines in Beirut, killed...
Is he trying to say that the Iranians were behind the 2 attempts on Trump? Because I'm pretty sure they were like deranged, really far left indoctrinated weirdos. Weren't they connected to like BlackRock somehow?
So we're defending ourselves, but we're also defending the world.
I want to talk about the
thank
nuclear threat.
you.
I want to talk about President Trump. You just said...
Thank you, BB. I feel so much safer now knowing that you are looking out for me. Little old Catholic me, the type of person you think about my safety before you go to sleep at night. Mate, pull the fucking other one.
Iran tried to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you have intel that the assassination attempts on President Trump were directly from Iran?
Through proxies, yes. Through their intel, yes. They want to kill him. Look, he's enemy number one.
Yeah, why does America get to decide who gets to have nukes and who doesn't? I'm not saying Iran should have nukes. I think no one should have nukes. I think everybody should have to give away their bad boy toys. That's what I think. Don't know how you would enforce that. Probably unenforceable. Sorry, but one country and one country alone has dropped nuclear bombs during a war, and that was America on Japan in 1945 on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So yeah, if we want to go back to that old proverb, you know, past behavior is the best indication of future behavior. America's the one we got to be worried about.
Look, they also tried to kill me, but I'm his junior partner.
When did
they understand that President Trump is a great threat to Iran's plans to weaponize nuclear weapons and use them.
When did you tell President Trump you were going to launch these strikes?
Did you see that? He's appealing to Trump's ego by giving him the alpha position. He's worked it out. He's like, if I try and continue the strong arming, the Mossad blackmail files, all these things, if I continue on in this fashion because of Trump's ego and the way he's so fragile and stuff, it's just not going to go down like that anymore. So yeah, you're sneaky, baby. We see you, mate. We see what you're doing there.
I think it's a wider battle here of civilization against barbarism, of good against bad. I mean, this regime, look at what it's done without nuclear weapons. It just fomented evil everywhere. I mean, they've pushed international terrorism to the hilt into every part of the Middle East, in Syria, in Iraq, Lebanon, where they had Hezbollah, Hamas, where they encouraged the Houthis, the great massacre of October 7th, the Houthis. That's what they're doing when they don't have nuclear weapons, including attacking American targets. Now imagine what they'll do if they had nuclear weapons. And I'm always amazed at people who say they care about America and they don't want a war. They're right. This is a forever war that Iran is doing without nuclear weapons. And imagine what they will do.
He is so manipulative. He is so manipulative, but I think a lot of people now have kind of seen through the curtain. I think people are waking up now to the successive invasions in the Middle East since Iraq. I think millennials and Generation Z are having a similar awakening to what people's parents or grandparents had to the Vietnam War. Just that disgusting waste of life, war for nothing, just what was the point? People don't want to be dragged into this bullshit anymore. You know, there's no Iranians, there's no bad Middle Eastern men under your bed, guys. Like, you're gonna be fine.
I remember Nasrallah, that's part of breaking up the Iranian axis. And we achieved that with surprise. And I think we achieved a great surprise the other day when we started. You know, we could wait and wait and wait. They'd string along the negotiations. We gave them a chance. I gave them a chance.
This man has never done anything good faith in his life, I guarantee you. He has never entered into any negotiations in good faith. He walks in with his little Mossad dirt file. You know, this is why they were always getting the politicians to go to the sex parties. And this was what Epstein was all about, right? Like, Ghislaine and Epstein were Mossad agents. Ghislaine Maxwell's father was a well-known high-up Mossad agent. Like, he goes in there with the dirt file because, you know, they get them to, a lot of these people are freaks in a, you know, sexual sense, shall we say, and they'll work out what their proclivities are, and they'll, you know, make sure those are catered to, and it's always being filmed. So all these people have dirt files on them. It sounds like a bad movie, but it really is like freaking Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut out there with all these rich people. Rich people are absolute freaks, guys. Absolute freaks. All of them. Disgusting behavior.
You know, we're geared to do whatever is necessary to achieve our dual aim, to remove two existential threats, the nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat. And we're doing that as we speak now in Tehran, but we're not bombing the population.
Do you think there would be any conflict in the Middle East if Israel wasn't there? I don't know, just throwing it out there. Do you think that if there wasn't some type of enmeshment between America and Israel, would the West be such a target for terrorism? I don't know, just throwing it out there, just speculating for entertainment purposes only. Don't sue.
We're telling the population, leave. So when we hit the targets embedded in civilian areas, you won't be hurt. And there's now mass migration from Tehran right now. That's what's happening. So because we're giving them forewarning.
He's such a good man. Look, he's sitting there so proud of himself. I'm a humanitarian ghoul, guys. I'm committing the most humanitarian genocide of all time, guys. They confirmed at least 20 children dead in Iran. Yeah, but he doesn't consider them people.
And I think it's not just our test. You know, Churchill talked about the slumber of democracies. He said that.
Don't you bring up Winston Churchill. Don't you bring up Winston Churchill, mate. Fuck off. Fuck off. Israel is nothing like the UK during World War II. Tel Aviv is nothing like London during the Blitz. You absolute fucking flog. Keep them out of your mouth. And by the way, dickhead. By the way, you fucking dickhead. The Allies, including Britain, they stopped the slaughter of your people in the Holocaust. See, we end genocide. You freaking poo platter, wee dick brain fuck shit. I ended up swearing. I tried not to swear, but I don't know what I am and aren't allowed to say. Obviously, I am a fan of "see you in the Northern Territory." That is my favorite word. I use it a lot. He's in his girl boss era. Yeah, he certainly is. He's definitely in his girl war crime era. Slay, girl, slay. But yeah, don't compare yourself to Winston Churchill, you absolute fucking dickhead. And look, like, Winston Churchill obviously wasn't a perfect man in many, many ways. in terms of for a leader that Britain needed during World War II, he did the job. He got the job done.
I've been talking about the Iranian threat for 40 years. 3 years, I think, 4 years after the Iranian...
Yeah, we know. You've been begging America to take them out for you, just like you begged them to take out Iraq and Afghanistan and probably all the countries in the Arab Spring that the CIA, accidentally on purpose, also helped you, destabilize and put in puppet governments. We know Bibi. We know Bibi. We do what you want, yes. He thinks he's a fucking puppet master. He thinks we all can't see through his fucking bullshit.
And I've devoted a considerable part of my life, in fact, most of my life, to preventing that. And when the gong of danger sounds, and
Bibi Netanyahu, he's just dedicated his life to, the goodness of man. Not saying that Iran's government is particularly good. Obviously, I like the more progressive Islamic countries, but I'm not going to tell other people, how to practice their religion. Obviously, a lot of people have fled Iran since 1979, so it's obviously not great over there. But you don't get to be, you're not bombing Iran for freaking human rights, humanitarian purposes. You're doing it because they're the one country with the ability to be able to stand up to you and to threaten your position in the Middle East. And sorry, but the formation of the state of Israel is, I don't think it's tenable. I think our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren are going to be reading about the failed Israeli experiment. It was a stupid idea. It's displaced so many people. It's caused so much grief for all the native inhabitants, the First Nations people of those countries, all the Arabic people in those regions, just immense suffering. Was it worth it? No, it wasn't. It's never going to be a country that can stand alone in its own right without US support. Israel crumbles. It's gone. And, what moral obligation does the US or any other country have to Israel?
And what I seek is that the entire world will do what President Trump is doing. He's standing up for good against evil. He's standing up for the right against the wrong. He's standing up for good against bad. And I think that's very admirable. I salute you for it, President Trump.
He's talking about Trump. Okay. All right. He's talking about Trump. It's hard to tell because this is how he used to talk about himself. But now he's worked out that he has to at least pretend that he is submissive because he knows that it'll rub Trump the wrong way and that Trump's, if Trump doesn't perceive himself as being in charge, then he'll just abandon the Israeli alliance. So he knows where his bread is buttered. Sly little, see you in the Northern Territory.
We don't wait until we have a nuclear holocaust. That's not going to happen again.
So how does it end?
Well, it'll end when we remove those capacities, and we will.
A nuclear holocaust, that's not going to happen again. There's never been a nuclear holocaust. What are you talking about? Very, very, very early iterations of the atomic bomb were dropped on Japan. I mean, obviously there's been nukes tested since then. There's never been a nuclear holocaust. Or are you talking about your holocaust? Are you saying never again to the World War II holocaust? Is that what you're referring to? Because you're trying to conflate these two things that have nothing to do with each other. Never again. You're the one that's at the very best is doing an ethnic cleansing in Gaza. At the worst is doing genocide. It's probably leaning more toward the latter now. Obviously, you need to get rid of the Gazans so you can annex that land. We know that was always, we've all seen the maps. We've all seen the plan for Greater Israel. I'm of the mind, and this is my wish, this is my hope, that all of America's allies, America's actual allies, not Israel, who's just like a leech sucking at the teat, taking funding while it simultaneously puts American lives at risk with its support of the Israeli regime. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about America's actual allies, like the UK, like Australia, like Canada. If we say, hey, stop supporting Israel, pull your head in, we do our sanctions, We pressure America at the UN to recognize a Palestinian state. We pressure America to, you know, support a ceasefire. Obviously not in that order, but we've got the power, because if we, all the Western nations collectively say, hey, America, you can eat our bums, we have that bargaining power. We do. If we all stand up together, the CIA can't take us all out at the same time. That's it. We all need to coordinate. Let's all get on the back channels now, guys. Let's all get on the back channels now. Coordinate. We'll have D-Day 2. We'll just do it. We're freaking storming the beaches of Normandy, guys. Let's fucking go. We're out. We're not supporting America at all. We're not trading with you. We're not doing anything unless you withdraw your support of Israel. Obviously, that's a fantasy world, and that would never happen. I know I'm quite delusional. Yeah, that would be awesome if the West could grow some balls, because there is a genocide happening and nobody's doing anything about it.
He said Iran would have presented a counterproposal that, quote, could have opened doors for an all-out agreement with the Americans. So, again, the foreign minister saying, if you stop, they will stop.
Yeah, that does really sound like Iran was making headway with Trump. And so, preemptively, to cut the talk short, Israel started missile strikes. I think that's what it is. Like, they're just trying to portray these talks as falling apart, but I don't think that was necessarily what happened.
While they were negotiating, the Ayatollah himself, Khamenei, tweeted again and again, death to Israel. Israel must be destroyed. So some good faith there, right? Aside from
that's really rich coming from you.
That they had bad faith because they were cheating, and we saw it in our intel. It was very clear. And the US had that same intel.
Your intel is so good. You know 100% where all these missile sites are. You know where all this stuff is, but you can't use ground radar to find where the hostages are. Assad's supposed to have some of the best, you know, special forces, special agents in the world, but you can't. You can't use some type of ground penetrating infrared radar, find the people. You could probably find these people's exact heat signatures. I don't doubt Israel doesn't have the technology. You couldn't go in and extract them. Your intelligence is really, really good otherwise, just not in Gaza. Yeah, okay, all right. Makes sense. Makes sense to me. Checks out, mate. Checks out.
We share that intelligence. So number one, he's lying. That's not new. Iran lies all the time. They cheat. But the second point is...
These accusations seem a little bit like projections. Seems like they sound like more like admissions to me. BB? That's what it sounds like to me. Don't know. Just putting it out there.
That they are... they say, okay, we'll stop if you stop. Stop what? You'll continue to develop your engines of death, mass death, continue to develop your nuclear bombs.
With just the disregard for human life that Israel has shown, I think I'm more concerned about Israel having nukes, obviously, because they obviously, they don't believe in the sanctity of non-Israeli life. They obviously don't. Their lives are important, ours aren't. Never again means only them.
Children sleeping in their beds killed, women sleeping in their beds killed. Horrible stuff. Yeah, they'll stop and continue to develop the means for our...
Is he talking about what Israel does? Because that's what Israel does. That's what Israel's been doing in Gaza. Get help, mate. Seriously, get fucking help. Disgusting behavior.
So obviously, that's not said in good faith. It's because Iran didn't want it and they cheated.
It's not a game. There's no cheating. Geopolitics isn't a game, and it's very scary that you consider it a game and that you need to win. Why do you need to win?
We have a great future if we take out Iran. Iran has been the systematic fomenter of wars.
This is so reminiscent, guys. Never forget this.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. And I think that people sitting right next door in Iran, young people.
Listen to this. Listen to this. He goaded America. He convinced America into invading Iraq. It was at this guy's behest. Now he's trying to get us to do the same thing with Iran. And don't think for a second that the coalition of the fuckwits aren't going to be dragged in. Don't think America's not going to expect Australia and Canada and the UK and whoever else to jump in, because he 100% will. He'll expect us all to go.
And many others will say the time of such regimes, of such despots, is gone. There is a new age. Something new is happening.
And that is speculation on your part, or you have some evidence to that effect?
I was asked the same question in 1986. I had written a book in which I had said that the way to deal with terrorism...
Way to not answer the question, dickhead. Anyway, we know how that panned out. We know how invading Iraq panned out. Some estimates of up to 1 million dead Iraqi civilians. And for what? Perpetual war since then. We have been in perpetual war, and that's what happens when you declare war on a pronoun.
And the way to deal with the terrorist regimes, among other things, was to apply military force against them.
The way we did in Afghanistan.
The application of power is the most important thing in winning the war on terrorism. If I had to say, what are the 3 principles of winning the war on terror? It's like, what are the 3 principles of real estate, the 3 L's, location, location, location? The 3 principles of winning the war on terror are the 3 W's, winning, winning, and winning. The more victories you amass, the easier the next victory becomes.
He's talking about the first conflict in Afghanistan, by the way, not the current. We're talking about, you know, when Russia was in Afghanistan. We're talking about where, ironically, America installed the Taliban. That's what we're talking about. When America funded bin Laden. Bin Laden isn't a CIA creation, if you guys didn't know that. This is wild. That's what he's referring to. Anyway, just wanted to show you that he's been after Iran for a really long time. He's been fixated on Iran.
Once we get rid of this mortal threat that Iran poses not only to Israel, but to our Arab neighbors, to Europe, to the United States, to many others.
Do not. Listen, I know you're not watching me, Trump, but do not let this little poo-poo platter goad you into, manipulate you into going to a war with Iran. If he wants to take out Iran, let him try. His country will be wiped off the map. You are not his servant. Don't do his bidding. Don't do his evil, evil, evil bidding.
We take the Gaza Health Ministry for what it is. They say the death is 55,000. The United Nations puts it at that number as well, but they're citing the Gaza Health Ministry and women and children making up half of the dead. Is there an Israeli estimate as far as the death in Gaza since the start of that operation?
Well, the ratio of civilian combatants to non-combatants is about 1 to 1, which is unheard of in such a dense urban environment. And that's happening because we're telling the population leave, and Hamas...
That's not what he asked you, dickhead. That's not what he asked you. Well, actually, half of those people are bad. Journalists that posed the question to him literally said half of those are women and children. So is he saying that every single man is an enemy combatant? Are they enemy combatants purely because they don't have the... What do they call them in... I don't watch Harry Potter, but I know, like, Harry Potter was, like, just a really lazy World War II analogy, right? With the... Is it mudbloods and... Are they called purebloods? Well, anyway, we know it's because, we know it's because the Palestinians aren't purebloods. They're not all a part of Hamas, mate. Like, we're not dumb.
The reason this war has been going on for so long is, well, one primary reason is the hostages.
So you have a dossier on every single Gazan civilian, do you? Every single resident of Gaza, you have a dossier on them. You know whether or not they're they're a woman or child or a combatant. Is that just based on if they're fighting aged male, they're a combatant? Or is that just based on your really amazing intelligence? Because you have the best intelligence, but you somehow didn't know that Hamas was going to attack on the 7th of October, and you somehow can't find the hostages and safely extract them. Archaeologists can find, like, buried cities. They can find, millennia-year-old ruins without even disturbing them. But you can't find a few hostages. No, you're just gonna have to level Gaza. It's the only way, guys. It's the only way.
But the big problem, the big question for Israel, for humanity, for the world, is whether we can take away the weapons of mass death from this cult of death
This is so reminiscent about what he said about Iraq. He's very careful not to say weapons of mass destruction because he knows that's going to clue, like, people's memories are going to jog and go, oh, that's what he said. That's what he said when he goaded us into going into Iraq. So, you know, he's got his thesaurus out, has old Bibi Netanyahu. He's got his thesaurus out. He's looking for, you know, for synonyms for weapons of mass destruction.
So just address the critics who say about Gaza that you're trying to make Gaza unlivable in order to push Palestinians out of the territory permanently. When they say that, what's the response?
Yeah. Well, because it's another lie. These are incredible lies. I think.
Ask him, if you were trying to make a Gaza unlivable, what would you do? And he would probably answer and describe exactly what he's doing now. We can see what's going on, which is clearly at best an ethnic cleansing and at worst a genocide. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work it out. He is going to clear the land, level it, and then he's going to annex Gaza. And then I guarantee you someone from the West Bank will do something, and they have to level the West Bank, and they also have to annex the West Bank as well. And then they'll probably move on to Jordan or Egypt. We'll see.
And as far as the choice of people, if they want to leave or not, President Trump has given a brilliant idea. He said, look, Gaza has to be rebuilt. It's been destroyed because every place is booby-trapped. So when we come to fight the terrorists, they set off these charges and they kill our soldiers. What we do is we bring a supercharge, it detonates all the booby traps, and that's how you have buildings destroyed. We also go into tunnels, but we put charges there, they blow up the tunnels are below buildings, the buildings collapse. So there's a lot of demolition in Gaza.
Just a coincidence, guys. The buildings are just in the way. Silly Westerners, don't you understand how it works?
President Trump said, okay, let the people have a choice. Why are they locked in? They're not locked in other battle scenes, you know, and people leave by the millions in Ukraine, in Iraq, and Syria. They're left by the millions. In Gaza, they're locked in. He said, why? Give them a choice. If they want to leave to other locations, help them with a voluntary relocation. If they want to come back, they'll come back after the work of basically restructuring Gaza is complete. And I think that's a brilliant plan.
Well, that was terrifying. What a sociopath. Jeez.
U.S. President Donald Trump had vetoed a plan that had been presented by the Israeli.
Yeah, well, apparently there's only like 2 congressmen in America that don't have like AIPAC handlers. So everyone essentially has taken money from Israel by proxy at some stage. So they're all sort of obligated in some regards, and I don't doubt like there's dirt files. There's definitely Mossad dirt files. Like they've all been to like these weird sex parties and they've all done weird shit on camera. Like I don't doubt that one bit. Yeah, it's dirt files and it's AIPAC money. We usually do the New York crosswords around here. I forgot to do it today actually. I got too distracted.